Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have more Mothman accounts. Both of them are in states that we don't typically see Mothmen, folks. Let's get into the first article now. Two winged humanoids glide over traffic above Dundee Lake in Hackensack, New Jersey. And then read the next one that takes place in Las Vegas, folks. Let's get into this article now. Reports of winged humanoids are not limited to Chicago or Pennsylvania. For centuries, witnesses in New Jersey have described strange airborne beings ranging from the infamous Jersey Devil to dragon-like creatures and large bat-winged humanoids. In the late 1990s, two friends traveling east toward Hackensack experienced a close encounter that unfolded directly over a busy highway. Most of what they have to say is very interesting, folks. So let's continue. What they saw glided silently over the tops of cars near Dundee Lake remains one of the most startling aerial cryptid sightings reported in northern New Jersey. And yet, we haven't actually gotten to their story yet, folks, so let's get into it now. My name is Don, and this happened sometime in the late 1990s during the summer. My friend Jeremy and I were driving east toward Hackensack, New Jersey. I cannot remember if we were on Route 46 or Route 80, but we were approaching the area near Dundee Lake. It was around 6 p.m., still daylight, with a clear sky. Traffic slowed as we crossed the bridge over the water. We were just rolling along with the other cars when something suddenly caught our attention from the left side of the highway. Out of nowhere, two winged creatures rose up from the direction of the water and glided over the tops of the cars. They were extremely close, maybe 3 feet above the vehicle. Their wings were fully extended, and they were not flapping at all. They were simply gliding. Both Jeremy and I shouted at the same time, asking each other if the other had just seen that. The moment felt almost like it happens in slow motion. The creatures were long and slim, maybe 6 or 7 feet in length. They looked somewhat human in shape, but with large bat-like wings. I could not tell whether their arms were separate from their wings or part of them. Their bodies were brownish and shiny, almost as if they were wet. That was the first thing that struck me. They looked sleek, like something that had just come out of the water. Which is telling folks who read other accounts of basically entities that were slick as well. And apparently other people have also noted that, folks. But let's read on and we'll discuss that point a little later. They didn't look like birds at all. There were no visible feathers, no beaks, and no tails. The wings looked more like stretched skin, similar to a bat. The closest comparison I can think of is the man-bat character from Batman comics. They glided directly over the traffic on the highway, clearing the tops of the cars by only a few feet. If I had gotten out of the passenger side and stood up, I probably could have reached up and touched one of them. Within seconds, they crossed over the highway and then dripped. They dripped, folks, wet water from them, but they also dipped back down toward the water on the opposite side. The whole thing happened very fast, but Jeremy and I both saw it clearly. I am pretty sure we were not the only people who saw those things that day, and I hope other people come forward one day with their stories too. It is something neither of us will ever forget. D. As I said, folks, a very odd story, but other people have noted in their own stories, folks, of seeing these Mothman-like entities, or flying cryptids, that have literally looked like they were dripping water when they were witnessed. So maybe they came out of some sort of body of water, like a large lake or river, and these entities actually came from some sort of UFO base. It's an idea, but maybe it's true. But let's move on to the next article now. Large winged humanoid glides over northwest Las Vegas backyard, October 2017, and read the story that took place during the same time as a large Mothman flap in Chicago. Let's get into it now. In October 2017, a couple living near Cheyenne Avenue and the 215 Beltway in northwest Las Vegas reported a silent winged humanoid gliding over their backyard at night. The sighting occurred beneath the shadow of the nearby mountain range, an area already known to the witness for strange activity along the cliffs. What they observed that night was unlike anything they had ever seen before, and it still defies a comfortable explanation. It was October 2017 at the time. My fiancé and I were living near Gilmore and Cliff Shadows, right where Cheyenne meets the 215. Our backyard practically opened up to the base of the mountain range. The houses were packed tightly together, typical stucco suburbia, but less than 5 minutes from our front door was the start of the ridge. I used to run up to the peak for exercise. We had always loved sitting outside at night. There was something about that mountain. We had seen strange things up there before. Once we watched what looked like a hiker running toward the edge of a cliff. Instead of stopping, he went right over the edge and seemed to fly off. That kind of thing kept us watching. One night between 10 o'clock p.m. and midnight, we decided to lie, out back and stargaze. We dragged the dog's bed outside and laid, blankets on top. It was always windy where we lived. The flood wash and running trail behind our houses funneled the wind straight through the yard where we used to do it. That's very interesting, folks. Let's read on. As we lay there, watching the clouds drift under the stars, something large passed over us. It was humanoid. It looked like a man with wings. It did not flap. It did not make a sound. It simply glided. The shape was silhouetted against the clouds. The city lights provided just enough illumination for me to clearly see the outline of a human figure with outstretched wings. It appeared to be at about the height of the mountain peak, below the cloud layer, moving south and parallel to the ridge. It passed directly over our house. I can imagine how absolutely horrifying that would be, folks, but also thrilling and fantastical to see as well, folks. So I can imagine that this witness was basically beside themselves with basically wonder at the sight of this indie, folks. But it sounds like it's very reminiscent of the last story that took place in New Jersey, folks, with basically maybe the wings perhaps basically attached to the arms, perhaps. But let's read on. Maybe they'll give us a little more, detail of what they saw. My first thought was a hang glider, but it was very late at night. As far as I know, there are designated launch zones, and you need logged flight hours before flying solo. This did not look like someone jumping from an approved platform. It was too smooth, too controlled. I briefly considered something supernatural, maybe a vampire or gargoyle, but I had never heard of any legends like that around here. Nevada is known for UFO activity, ghost tours, and alien lore, not winged humanoids. Later, I tried to rationalize it. I wondered if someone could have released a flying fox. I looked up videos of them. They seemed smaller than what I saw, but maybe someone's exotic pet got too big and they let loose. I know people here who keep exotic birds, cats, and even monkeys. That explanation still feels like the most reasonable one, even though flying foxes tend to flap more, and this thing moved in a straight, steady glide. Whatever it was large, it was shaped like a man with wings, and it crossed the sky silently above us. So, it wasn't exactly flapping its wings, folks, much like with basically the New Jersey account, which basically parallels other stories of these Mothman-like entities, folks, just gliding. Some accounts do mention them flapping, folks, but the fact that they were gliding here and weren't flapping their wings makes me think that perhaps these wings weren't actually real wings, folks, but maybe some sort of, device. Perhaps some sort of anti-gravity flight device that all you need to do is just glide, and it takes you where you want to go, folks, because there have been other accounts of humanoid entities wearing such, apparatuses before, folks. In fact, there's an early account from around the turn of the century, the 1900s, where this, man and his crew on this ship, he was the captain, folks, saw this entity. It was a humanoid being, but it was wearing some sort of apparatus, almost like basically, a flight suit, but it was like metal bars around his arms and legs, folks, and he was holding on to basically this sort of device, and he flew through the air. There was also this device attached to his chest, which sounds similar to basically various accounts of, Spring Hill Jack, where they had a mechanical device, like basically an iPad or basically screen attached to their chests, folks. Now, this man also apparently had that as well. At least that's what I remember, I think, folks. Either way, this is what the captain or his crew reported. And these entities, with their, wings that don't seem to flap, folks, maybe they were using some sort of devices. It's a possibility. Either way, folks, both accounts are very strange. It makes me think that basically there's more going on around the world, maybe highly advanced technology, as well as maybe other entities that have been visiting the Earth, folks. Perhaps they're aliens too. Either way, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics That Are Bad For You. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that give you all future notifications. And please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.